Hey everybody, Jacob with Scooters Lawn Care here in Cape Coral, and today we are talking about should you use rock or should you use mulch in your landscape beds. And this is more of a comparison and what are the differences and what are the things I'm going to expect out of the two. So we've got a few things we're going to go over. This is going to be really good for you if you're about to do a landscape project at your house to really know the true differences between the two. So we're going to start out with probably the biggest thing for everybody. Everybody has a budget in mind on what they're trying to spend on a project when they come into getting an estimate. The biggest difference between the two that I immediately see is rock is very expensive in Florida. It's not from here. There's no rock that you're digging out of the ground. We also operate in Illinois as well, and there's quarries and everything within 3 hours of our shop. So rock is really affordable. It's just not that way here. So any rock material you're getting, you're paying for a lot of freight to get it into our area. Now, other materials that are more common here, like mulch, like shell, some of these other one-off things, they're gonna be a lot less expensive. So that's the big difference. Mulch is gonna be very cost effective, and rock is going to be much more expensive. But there are also some other things that drive that price up even more. Mulch, you do not need landscape fabric because soil separation doesn't matter with mulch. You know, you can just attack the weeds from the top of it. You're not going to lose your mulch into the ground like you would with a rock, and because it's always something that you continuously touch up. And that's something that's very important to remember is the landscape fabric that when you go and look at commercials and go into the box store and they always call it weed mat, it's not really for weeds. So the true term, the true reason is to keep your rock from disappearing into the sand or soil beneath it. So that is soil separation fabric. Your rocks, when you get them, if you get a new landscape bed, it can have weeds in it in a matter of weeks. Everything has weeds in it. Driveways, pavers have weeds in them. Mulch gets weed in it. Rock gets weed in it. Anywhere where any small amount of soil, any organic matter can pile up, something can germinate in that. So those are big differences there. Rock is already inherently going to be much more expensive. Mulch is going to be much more cost effective. When you get into using rock, you're going to have to use landscape fabric, which that's going to add additional prices to that as well. Okay, we already talked about this a little bit in the price comparison, but next we're going to talk about weeds. Weeds are going to be very comparable between the two, but there is a little bit of a difference here. In mulch, weeds are going to be less of an issue long-term in my eyes, because no matter which one you have, you've got to maintain it, you got to keep the weeds down. But if weeds do get bad in mulch, when you clean up that bed and touch it up, they're gone. But if weeds do get bad in rock, which can just as easily happen as it does in mulch, when weeds get bad in rock, they actually stain the rock, discoloring the rock. And since rock, the idea of getting rock put in so you never have to touch it back up, this can ruin your rock and make it where there's a lot more cost to fix it in the future, or you can try to clean or do something with it, but cleaning and turning rock is nearly impossible. So weeds can be a much bigger issue in rock if it actually stains and ruins your rock and causes you to then remove what you have and put in new. Where in mulch, it's the season to touch it back up. You touch it back up, everything looks brand new, and you move on. Now we're going to talk about the maintenance of the two. The maintenance of the two are very similar, and the biggest part of the maintenance is going to be the weed control. When our mow teams go out and mow a property, if someone has bed maintenance, which is our weed control and landscape beds and hard surfaces here in Florida, when someone has that service, our teams are actively pulling some weeds, spraying some weeds every single stop throughout the season, depending on what package you're on. But since we're not going to be necessarily mowing your yard, you need to know that you need to take a very active approach on either mulch or rock beds. Now, some things that help is putting down pre-emergent. That's something like when you go to a box store and you say a big yellow case of preen, that is a form of pre-emergent. We use commercial pre-emergents, but all of them will do some to help you in the maintenance. And hence its name, you put this out and spread it on a bed. Water washes this in and it creates a chemical layer where seeds cannot germinate. So the big issue is everybody always says that I've got bad weed killer. Spray the stuff and it comes right back. Weed killer is designed to kill what you spray, but anything that's in the ground, it has no residual effect. That's a key word, no residual effect. So new stuff's just gonna pop back up. Well, if you weed spray and you put down pre-emergent, you're gonna have something to stop new germination, and you're gonna have something to kill what is already there, and it'll make your beds easier to maintain. Now, no, the biggest thing that erodes the residual effect of pre-emergent are sun and rain. And here in Florida, we get a lot of both. So no matter what you do, maintenance is inevitable, and you're going to have to really keep up on both of these if you want to have a nice, tidy, clean property. And if you want an estimate for long-term maintenance, we can do that for you as well. So everything can be maintained and you don't have to worry about your investment. Now, with all that being said, what are some of the other options? I've hit on one or so of them talking already. And there's some of the other options for material in your bed. One that we have started to do a little bit more of is rubber mulch. Rubber mulch is a very cool product. It's a very interesting product. You're still gonna have to have the landscape fabric because it's a long-term product, so you don't wanna lose that material into the sand or soil. Another product would be shell. Shell is a great option. Shell is gonna be very, very affordable, whereas rubber mulch is going to be near, if not more, than the cost of rock. So these are a couple different options. There's also not the prettiest option, but there is like a road rock or like a 57, like a 3/4 inch shell rock. This is an option to build out a bed. It is not my favorite. I would rather see you use shell, but I do see this put in people's beds if they're wanting to do a really, really, really cost-effective bed because they're not paying much for that material. Those are some of the different options. You've got all your ornamental rocks that we already use that are really awesome array of colors. There's a pretty wide array of prices depending on whether it's lava rock or is it brown river rock or is it white river rock, which is almost impossible to get right now. And if you can get it, it's astronomical because there's such a shortage, just like any other commodity, supply and demand. Then you've got your mulches, which are extremely easy to get a hold of and extremely affordable. All of these things will create beautiful landscapes. All of these things will need maintenance. All of these things have much different prices, and I'm glad that I could inform you on some of those differences so you can make the right decision.